If you grew up listening to pop radio in the latter half of the 20th century, or even today, there's a very good chance you've heard music written by Burt Bacharach. From Arthur's Theme and Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head to That's What Friends Are For, Close to You, Magic Moments, and The Look of Love, Bacharach's catalog of hits feels endless. Alongside his longtime lyricist, Hal David, he crafted songs that are timeless, beloved by audiences and musicians alike, and have earned him 6 Grammys, 3 Oscars, and an Emmy. This Saturday, October 4th at 7:30 p.m., the Winnipeg Jazz Orchestra will celebrate Bacharach's genius at the Seven Oaks Performing Arts Centre, joined by the exceptional singer Jennifer Hanson in a concert called What the World Needs Now, the music of Burt Bacharach. It's a perfect pairing, the WJO's rich jazz interpretations bringing Bacharach's sophisticated jazz-infused harmonies to life, and Hanson's stunning vocals delivering every lyric with charm and depth. This promises to be a truly unforgettable evening of music. And joining me here in the Classic 107 studio, I am joined by the one and only Jennifer Hanson. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi.
Nice to have you here.
Thanks for having me, Chris.
Mm-hmm. So, firstly, when I heard about the show, I got to say, the WJO hit a bullseye with you for this concert. You're incredibly versatile. You've sung rock, you sing jazz, country. It seems perfect for Burt Bacharach, who wrote pop tunes but was very much a jazz musician. Can you talk about how this show came about? How did it come to be?
It came about in a very specific way. A couple years ago, Zachary Rushing, who runs Winnipeg Jazz Festival, phoned me and he said, hey, it's, an anniversary or something. They wanted to do some gigs dedicated to particular artists. And he said, would you be interested in doing an evening of Burt Bacharach? And I said, man, you called the right person because I know every song. I grew up with this. I'm very familiar with it. I'm very familiar with most of the arrangements of many of the tunes, several different ones. So I said immediately yes, and I have to get Larry and Roy involved because Larry is who I work with when these kinds of things come up, and I know that I'm going to need someone to arrange this stuff in a way that isn't possible for me because I'm a singer and I don't do that. And he's done a brilliant job arranging these tunes, most of these tunes for the Winnipeg Jazz Orchestra. So I have to give kudos to Zachary Rushing. He came up with the idea, and we've been running with it. We got Richard Gillis to play trumpet the first 2 gigs we did with this. We liked it so much after the Jazz Festival, we did another one, and then Richard, who runs the Winnipeg Jazz Orchestra, said, hey, do you guys want to do a gig with the whole group? And yes, we do, sir. Yes, we do. So, and I've got 2 really wonderful singers, Aaron Propp and Carly Epp, who are also singing lead on some songs and just fantastic backup singers as well. Just really serious professionals who are great to have on the team.
Mm-hmm. We were talking about this before I pressed the record button. I grew up in the 80s, and I grew up with Burt Bacharach songs. I just didn't know it. Dionne Warwick, Christopher Cross, the Carpenters, etc. I didn't know that he'd written these tunes, and it wasn't until much later. You've said you've grown up with this. Your dad was a jazz musician. How far back was Burt Bacharach's music infused in you?
Raindrops Keep Falling on My Head was the first song I ever learned to sing, and I don't remember this. I have no memory of making money, but apparently my siblings charged 25 cents for me to sing at parties, and and they would sometimes just walk me door to door. I think because I was a baby, I looked like Pippi Longstocking, as you know, and I had flaming red hair and freckles, and when you're the youngest of 7 children, you learn how to become adorable very quickly because you need some attention. So yeah, we as a family, I've said this in so many interviews, we did 2 things. We read books and we sang together because when you're, from the far north and it's cold outside and, back then Flin Flon had 2 television channels, CTV and CBC. So we did a lot of singing. We had a family songbook. We still have it. And I would say there was probably 5 or 6 Bacharach, Hal David tunes in there.
Amazing. You've been performing his music for so long. Are there qualities or traits in his tunes that make you say, yeah, this is so typically Burt Bacharach? Is it timing? Is it harmonies? What is it that about his songs that you're like, oh yeah, this is totally Burt Bacharach?
I think he was not afraid of being complex. Some of it, it sounds so easy when you hear it, but singing some of these songs is not easy. And I like to be out of my comfort zone. I like a challenge. He's not afraid to be complex. He's not afraid to put strange vocal intervals in there. He's not afraid to, like you said, play very jazzy things in what is construed as pop music, which is, for a singer like me, just the perfect kind of music to sing, because I do like to sing everything.
Yeah.
And that fulfills a lot of, itches to scratch, I might say, musically.
Yeah. On this gig, you're going to be joined by what I like to think for you is family. You're going to be joined by Jill Fournier. You've already mentioned him, Larry Roy, the guitarist, and Jill Fournier, the bass player. Can you talk about your friendship with them, your long friendship with them, and how important they are to you?
We're also blessed with having Leonard Shaw on keys, and I've just started working with him recently, and he's a wonderful human. I first met Larry Roy when I was singing in Ron Paley's band. I was 18 years old. It was 1987. I had just moved to Winnipeg. And I met Larry, and through Larry, I met Jill. And when I decided to start singing standards, it was because I was having a lot of vocal problems in singing rock and roll, and I knew that I was going to end my career if I didn't make some changes. And so I took some vocal therapy, and I stopped singing for a few months, and I said to a few different people, hey, I think I want to sing standards. I really like it. And at the time, that was the early 90s. That started to be sort of a thing. I mean, jazz standards sort of came roaring back, along with, oddly enough, Gregorian chants. I don't know if you remember that little stage of music. And a lot of Enya. So I started working with Larry, and he really taught me a lot about the fundamentals of singing a jazz standard. And I got a lot better working with him. I also worked with some other just fantastic musicians, Earl McDonald on piano, Glenn Pacha on piano, who now works with Bonnie Raitt. And Jill has just been such a good friend over the years. I do a lot of gigs with Jill, not only because he's a wonderful musician, but he's just a really good hang. Both he and Larry are just great to hang out with, and yeah, I just really enjoy my time with them. And you want to surround yourself, especially when, this Burt Bacharach gig took a lot of preparation. We've had quite a few rehearsals. We don't go into this lightly. It's a serious thing. People are paying good money for tickets. So we spend a lot of time on the music. I'm not a very good reader. I don't sight read very well, so I really have to learn the stuff. Plus, when you're looking out at an audience and you're trying to interact with them, you don't want to spend the whole time looking at charts. Right. Because it's really hard to gauge what's going on, in the room, vibe-wise, I guess, the kids would say. So, having people there that I trust and feel super comfortable with is paramount.
Can you talk about the set list? Like, how did it come together? My understanding is there's going to be some instrumental tunes as well as vocal tunes. How did the set list come together for the show?
Set lists are a very selfish thing, because when Zachary first talked to me about doing the Bacharach tunes, I just immediately thought of the songs that I love to sing. And I, had a conversation with Larry about it. And Larry made a couple suggestions, and they did, even the first gig we did for the Jazz Festival, I think we did one or two instrumentals, because, that the song from Casino Royale that we were talking about, that's, pretty important. And gosh, I can't remember the other one that they're doing, but set lists are very personal, and I had a lot of latitude to say, this is what I want to do. Like, for instance, one of the songs we sang when I was a kid was Close to You. Which is kind of funny because I love it now, but when I was 5 or 6 and we started singing it, or I started singing it with my siblings, at the same time as that, one of my sisters played the movie The Birds for me, or it was on TV late night. And it totally freaked me out. And the first line of Close to You is, why do birds suddenly appear? And I thought, that's a horrible scenario. And it kind of affected me with the song Close to You. But over the years, of course, it's such a great song. And I love, I really wanted to sing I'll Never Fall in Love Again, just because the second verse is hilarious. In fact, when I sang it for Larry, he thought I was making it up. What do you get when you kiss a guy? You get enough germs to catch pneumonia. After you do, he'll never phone you out. I mean, that's just hilarious. And those are the real words, and he was laughing. I said, no, that's actually the words that Hal David wrote. So we need to give more credit to Hal David, because he's the reason that Burt Bacharach's melodies, are so wonderful.
I love the tune. I love the tune. I Say a Prayer.
Yes.
I Say a Little Prayer.
Yes.
Are you going to be doing that?
Yes. Actually, Erin Propp's going to be doing it, and I was always really intimidated by the song, because it goes from 4/4 to 2/4 in a couple measures, and I just thought, I'm not spending my time on this. And then, of course, I had to learn it so that we could rehearse without the backup singers, and it was no problem at all. And it's a great song. The backups are great. It's a really good song. And the lyrics are the lyrics are kind of old-fashioned, but they're sort of timeless too.
Mm-hmm. Are you going to be singing back up to Aaron Propp and Carly
Yes,
Epp?
I am. Yes, I am.
And they're going to go
We're all
back?
singing backups for each other.
Okay.
Yeah. And I worked really hard to reach their level of excellence, because they're such specifically good singers, and they are, they're really on the ball. So I've worked really hard to make sure I can keep up with them.
Mm-hmm. What's it like singing with big band as opposed to maybe doing like a small house concert?
Oh, it's exhilarating. It's lovely. They're so wonderful, and they're such a great group of people. They're really, they're world-class musicians. Sometimes it's terrifying, because I often jump in with both feet, knowing I don't read music that well, and occasionally when I do gigs with the WJO, I have to read charts, and so I spend some time with them, and I fret about it, but it's lovely. I love singing with them, and I think Winnipeg should be really proud that we have such a great jazz orchestra.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I've always admired about you is that you're so incredibly talented. Like you're full of raw talent. I love your alto voice. I was talking about this before I pressed the record button. I watched interviews that you have done here at Classic 107 when I was prepping for the interview, and you did an interview with my good friend Claudia Garcia de la Huerta, where you outright said you're not a jazz singer, but you performed with Ron Paley, Larry Roy, Mike Manny. The list goes on and on. Will you ever consider yourself a jazz singer?
No, I'm not a jazz singer. For me, if I think about true jazz singers, I think about Carly Epp and Aaron Propp, and I think about I think about people who have spent a long time, whether going to school or studying with jazz musicians. I am just a singer of good songs, and I like jazz standards a lot. You're not going to see me scat unless I can lift a scat solo right from Ella's record. It doesn't mean that I don't consider myself a decent singer of jazz standards.
Yeah, because you totally are.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it, and I think good melodies make it easy to sing songs. But no, I don't consider myself that. And also because I consider myself a singer, because I sing lots of different things. I would say no one's going to hire me to sing opera anytime soon. My daughter just got married, and she had the flower duet from Lac May. And it was wonderful. We had 2 professional opera singers up north where we're from sing this, and they were amazing. And I thought, not in a million years could I get my voice in shape to sing like that. It's a totally different talent, and they were amazing. But, I do sing a lot of different kinds of music, and if you want to be a working musician, you really have to try to do what the gig requires.
Yeah, and you always do it so well.
Oh, thanks so much. Appreciate
This
it.
has been really great. I'll wrap up the conversation by asking what you hope audiences are going to take away from the show on Saturday.
Oh, that's a good question. I just hope that they walk away knowing that, they know what they're getting, because the Winnipeg Jazz Orchestra is great. The gals and I and Larry and Luce and Gilles and Josh Bonato, who's playing drums, we've worked really hard on this. I just want people to remember what a wonderful world music is. And, have an escape for a night, because we don't always get to do that. And music is the best thing for that, to go out And I hope it's a fun walk down, memory lane, nostalgia.
Yeah, and no better outlet than Burt
totally.
Bacharach.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Jennifer, this has been wonderful having you here in studio. Again, you're welcome anytime. All the best on Saturday night. I hope the concert is packed. I'm sure the WJO are going to be spectacular with you. Thanks so much for taking the time to stop by and talk
Thanks
to me
for
today.
having me. Yeah, I appreciate it, Chris.
For our Classic 107 listeners, What the World Needs Now, the music of Burt Bacharach, performed by the WJO and Jennifer Hanson, takes place this Saturday night, October the 4th at 7:30 at the Seven Oaks Performing Arts Center. For more details, go to winnipegjazzorchestra.com or go to classic107.com. I've embedded a direct link to the show page about the concert in the article that you can find up there now. Jennifer, thanks again.
Thanks.